Lisa. I'm here with an art journal page. I'm going to start with some book paper music sheets from some of my book paper collections, and then we're going to add some deli paper on top of that and lots of color. So let me go ahead and glue these down with Mod Podge. I'll just fast forward the camera and get to work. So I'm going to trim down my papers with scissors. Normally I tear them to have that rough edge, but in this case I'm going to be adding another layer on top, and I wanted to make sure they really fit on the pages. I'm putting the thinnest paper over on the left hand page because I'm about finished with this art journal, so that's the side that's got more curve to it. And put a little bit heavier paper on the right hand side. I just picked kind of random music sheets. I wasn't looking for any particular music. I wasn't trying to say anything in particular. I don't have an idea at this point of what I want to do with this page. I just wanted to play with some texture. My texture is with deli paper, and I'm crinkling it up, and then I'm going to trim it off. I got the idea for this. I watched a video by, I think the name is Stay Beautiful 84. I will put a link to her video in the description for mine. And she had done several different layers, and she'd used some tissue paper like fabric, pattern tissue paper, and got some interesting looks with that. And so I wanted to try out with paper tissue, in this case deli paper, over the whole thing. So deli paper is a little bit heavier, and I wanted to see what that looked like when you had that over an entire page. So that's kind of where I got the idea from this, and she did a really good video, so I will link that up. And I put a very thin coat of Mod Podge over the whole thing. And then I'm using some paints. In her case she did, I think, all watercolors, but I wanted to try some acrylic paint with this. So I've got some golden open and some regular golden paints, and these go a long way, especially when you put them on a surface that has the Mod Podge on top. They really spread out, and I added a little bit of water to that lighter yellow over on the left and spread it out a little bit more. And then I have this deep purple color, and we're going to put that around the edge. I love how the yellows and golds are coming out. And I wanted to frame this with a little bit darker color around the edge, so I thought I'd do the purple instead of a neutral. But as I'm going here, this is looking Halloween to me, because that one paint's kind of orangey colored, and then the purple, that's just very much the colors you find in scrapbooking Halloween products. And so I'm not a Halloween lover, and so we're going to have to change it up a little bit. But for now, we're just getting a really good dark edge. And I end up taking a tissue or a paper towel, a wet paper towel, and spreading that out a little bit. Now here I'm getting the watercolors out. I've never really mixed watercolors with acrylic paint, so this was sort of an experiment. I didn't know how it would come out. But the acrylic paint dries, and the watercolors would be the things that would move. If you added something liquid on top of those are the things that the color's going to start moving. But the acrylic paint, once it's dry, it's dry. So this went really well with adding the watercolors over the top. Now once I got some color on there, and the blues and greens kept it from being so much like Halloween, I decided I needed to see what I would do for my top layer, and I thought I'd do some doilies. The small one is from Stampin' Up, and the larger one I just bought at Hobby Lobby. And I stamped an image on the smaller one, and the larger one I have written some text around it. And then I'm putting a little Mod Podge on there, just a little bit that I had left over, to kind of lightly glue it to the paper. And then we'll add some more color. And I tore the little one, but I'm kind of piecing it back together. Since I'd already stamped it, I didn't really want to have to pull out another one and do a second one. All right, we're going to do some stenciling here first. using this Rosette Stencil. I think it's Crafter's Workshop stencil. It's one of my favorites. I probably use the little round stencils more than anything. And that's Martha Stewart Pumpkin, I believe it is, in the pearl paint in the middle, and then there was a yellow acrylic paint around the edges, and I added a little bit also of the yellow onto the doily, the small doily. And now we're going to do, and this is where I probably should have left them alone, but then I decided to add some more color with the watercolors around on the doilies. And the one on the right, the little one, ended up looking really dirty for a while until it dried. But it got better. What I didn't like about them is that they seemed to just sort of melt into the rest of the page, and they weren't distinct like they were when I had them, you know, just a natural white. So the way I dealt with that is I took some Faber-Castell markers and did some shading around the edges. Could also do this with gelatos. And I'm putting kind of blue around the edge of that small one, and then a little bit of gold, just to make those stand out a bit more. And then I'm going to use some markers. I do a black marker to go around some of the details, and off camera I'm going to use turquoise and I think a rust colored marker to add a little bit more detail to them, and I'll show you some photos at the end. A little bit more writing. And then I felt like it needed just a little bit more, so I've got some Whisper White ink, which is a pigment ink from Stampin' Up, and I'm putting this over some of the different areas. Pigment ink takes quite a long time to dry, so it was fine for making the photographs of things, but then I just left it open overnight to make sure it dried good. And that's my page. So thank you so much for joining me today.